let me level with you. I am fucking sick to death of modern day productivity advice. Like all the gurus, all the podcasts, all the self-help YouTubers, all the books, all of that stuff, it's all wrong. And like, I really want to just sit down and just kind of no bullshit tell you specifically what's worked for me. I've made just over $30 million with an online business in the last 7-8 years now. And I'm 27. And I've tried everything under the sun to become more productive. You name it, whatever strategy it is, whatever fancy name it has, whatever book it came from, podcast it came from, I've been obsessed with trying to become as productive as possible. And I can tell you that of the thousands of pieces of advice out there on how to become more productive, very few of them actually work, and they actually worked for me, okay? So in this video, I'm going to explain them. The first one is stop trying to become more productive and start trying to get in the zone. So the zone is a state of flow where you might have had this before, maybe a couple of times when when you're playing a video game, or when you're engrossed in a movie or something, and you're so focused and obsessed with that thing that it's almost like nothing else exists. When you walk out of a movie theater after a good movie and you're kind of like, holy shit, like that was a good movie. I didn't even think about anything. I was completely engrossed in it. That's what you want to become with your work. And what everyone tries to do, stupidly so, is they try to become productive and they try and find these little hacks and these little strategies. But really, you need to become obsessed with finding the zone. And the way you do that is basically by eliminating all distractions, sitting down at your desk and working on the thing until suddenly nothing matters anymore. I know that's a trivial way for me to explain it, but I'm not going to get into it too much detail because it'll take me hours to explain. But the point I'm making, stop trying to become productive and start trying to get in the zone. They're two very different things, and the zone is where insane productivity happens, right? The second thing is to plan time off. So actually take days off, plan time off, plan weeks off, plan holidays, plan vacations, plan days off, plan your weekends properly, because you've only got so much energy and you've only got so much capacity for stress and work. And it's imperative to your productivity and your overall health and longevity that you actually take some time off. I know it's counterintuitive to put this at the start of a productivity guide because everyone seems to think that more is more when it comes to productivity. The more work you do, the more productive you are. I found this to kind of be the opposite. The less work you do, the less productive you are, for sure. There's a line to balance here. But there's nothing wrong with taking a week off or taking a weekend off every now and then to recharge. It's common sense, right? And you should probably try and do it. The next thing is to wear the same thing every day. So what you want to try and do, and this just applies to your entire personal life, is try to eliminate as many decisions and variables as humanly possible from a personal perspective, right? So for example, I wear the same black vest, I wear the same black t-shirts, I wear the same shorts, the same trousers, the same jumpers. I've got like 10 of everything. And what that allows me to do is when I'm sitting down to work or sitting down to go out, I'm not trying to use any decision-making potential or any productivity energy on decisions around what I'm wearing or anything like that. Simplify your personal life as much as you can. It will make you way more productive, way more than some weird little shiny strategy or some special notebook you can buy from a guru for $10. The next thing is using ambient music or binaural beats when you work. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and find some soundtracks that you can associate with the deep productivity state, i.e. the zone. There's a few, I've got a whole playlist on YouTube private to my channel, and it's basically a collection of mixes, like ambient music mixes or, binaural beats. And what they allow me to do is I've spent so long working to those mixes and so long to those songs that whenever I hear one of those songs or one of those mixes, I get straight into the productivity zone. It's almost like it just bypasses me and just gets like, it just locks straight in, if that makes sense. So you can find your own, but you can just search like ambient music mix or something like that. The next thing, and again, this is pretty straightforward, I'm not teaching you anything crazy new here, is plan tomorrow today. Meticulously plan half an hour increments to your day. You need to know exactly what you're doing today because procrastination loves ambiguity and they go very, very hand in hand. If you wake up in the morning and you don't know what you're working on or what you're doing or what you're going to be trying to do, then you're probably not going to do it. Like, it's really simple, but it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me that most people just don't plan their day. They just wake up and just go about it. And then the day goes and they're like, it's like, what did I do? I didn't do anything today. So let me write in my little journal about how annoyed I am that I wasn't productive. It's like, no. Write down at the end of every day, tomorrow's hours, so from 8 a.m. or whenever you wake up to the end of the day, and plan out exactly what you want to do during those hours, down to all the little details. And you're never going to follow this thing perfectly, and things are always going to take longer or shorter than you expect, but it's a really good way and a good mechanism for you to stay on track, because if it's 4 p.m. and you're like, what am I doing? I don't know what I should be doing right now. Then you can open up the plan and be like, oh, that's what I should have been doing. The next thing is run meetings efficiently. Always stay on track and always have an agenda. So I will never, ever run a meeting in my company unless there is an agenda set. What is an agenda? It's basically a selection of like items, if that makes sense. So a series of points. And any meeting that I run is never just this spontaneous, like, oh, let's meet sort of thing. It's always specifically based on an agenda. And that helps me basically run meetings more efficiently. And if the meeting runs off of the agenda, then I'll basically just bring it back to the agenda. Sounds like a small thing again, but a lot of people just sit in meetings and they just chat shit and there's no reason or rhyme or reason to it. It's the same thing with like planning your day. Like you need to have a specific plan. The next thing is that mouse users work 50% faster than trackpad users. So there's actually scientific evidence on this, that if you have a mouse, you know, if you're working with one of these things with a mouse, you are quite literally 50% more efficient than someone using a trackpad. So if you're in business and you know you want an advantage, you can quite literally do 50% more just by having a mouse than by sitting hunched over your laptop, okay? So it's a pretty cool thing. The next thing is that a monitor is a must. So I've got a monitor here, like an actual screen. Stop trying to work on your laptop. Get like a dock, plug it in, get a keyboard, get a mouse, get a monitor, get a proper workstation. Very imperative, because the problem with your little laptop screen is it's tiny, you want to hunch over it, your back starts to hurt, your eyes start to hurt, you can't really function around properly with the trackpad or anything. If you're traveling, sure, no problem. But if you're working consistently from home or in an office, a monitor is a must. The next thing is that mechanical keyboards will make you want to work more. So you can see this keyboard here. I'm not going to press any of the keys here, but this is a Royal Clutch RK98 keyboard. It's like $100, and it might not seem that important, but what you want to try and do is you want to find tools to work with that you find satisfactory to use, or you take satisfaction from using them. And so this keyboard's very clicky, it's very satisfying to sort of click around on and use and bounce around on, and you know, with your like jumping between keys and stuff. Sounds weird, but once you get a keyboard that really feels good to use, you want to use it more often, and the only time you're going to be using it is when you're working, right? So I found a mechanical keyboard to be a really good investment into my productivity. And you can just look into the Royal Clutch ones. I've got an RK98. I had an RK84 before, but that's a bit too small for me. The next one is standing desks also are really important, because, you know, I've got a standing desk. This desk here, it can adjust accordingly. I sit down for probably 80% of my work day, but every now and then, like if I'm sat down, I get a little bit uncomfortable and I want to stand up. Sounds so simple. It's like, oh yeah, well obviously. But what people don't realize is, you know, your body has the ultimate say over your mind. And what that means is if your body's uncomfortable and if you're in a state of like pain or you're aching a little bit, like it's going to override your will to work and it's going to force you to take a walk or, you know, go and stretch or whatever. I like being able to have my work set up with my chair, with my desk and all the other things that I've got to be adjustable so that I can at any point throughout the day adjust my workstation to suit whatever my body kind of wants, if that makes sense. So if it wants to sit up, then if it wants to stand up, we'll stand up. If it wants to walk, I'll get a walking treadmill. If it wants to like lean back, I can adjust this chair all the way back. So you want to get adjustable equipment so that, you know, your body can kind of tell you how it wants to work. And, you know, a lot of people think like, oh, but, you know, I have to stand the whole day if I have a standing desk. It's like, no. That's how you become less productive. People that have standing desks and stand all day do less because they end up leaning on the desk, they get tired. You know, you don't want to be standing all day, but you need to let your body be able to communicate to you. You know, the more comfortable you are, the more productive you'll be, basically. Same thing with this. This is the next point. This ergonomic chair. This is a Herman Miller Series B. I think it's remastered, so it was like refurbished or something. It's like $1,000. They're not cheap, but try and get yourself a really comfortable chair, because the cool thing about this chair is it is adjustable in every way, shape and form, and I can adjust the lumbar support, I can adjust the headrest, I can adjust like how far it leans back, and it will lean really far back if I want it to. And so, you know, again, like you kind of have these adjustable things so that your body can adjust, and this is going to make you way more productive than some little journal tracker thing, you know, or some shiny object, right? Next thing is acoustic proofing your office. So what I've got in my office here is a bunch of acoustic wall panels to absorb sound. You know, when you go into a room and if you clap, the room kind of claps back at you. You know, when you have like tinny acoustics, you know, where it's sort of like it kind of if you go in like a place in a room where there's no rugs or carpets or curtains or any furniture, and if you make noise, it kind of bounces back off the walls and feeds back into your ears and kind of irritates you a little bit. If you've got an office that has really bad acoustics, you're not going to want to spend much time in there, because your nervous system freaks out when it receives this sound input back. It doesn't like it. So what I've got in my office is this office is just 4 walls, right, and it's not a big space. So the acoustics when I moved in were terrible. You can't see it, but behind the camera, what I've got is some acoustic wall panels that basically bounce that sort of absorb the sound, and it makes recording videos a lot better. It makes working a lot better. Music's a lot better in this room, etc. Pretty important. Same thing, this is the next point, is don't use bright LED lights. So when you go into a grocery store or a supermarket, if you're in the UK at night, and they have these like overhead like white lights, or when you go into a doctor's surgery or like a phone repair shop, like one of those phone repair shops that sells like phone cases, and it's like you walk in and it's like bright LED lights. But they're really bad for you. And what they do is, because they only flicker at one frequency, is they trigger your nervous system and they make you kind of like weird. And if you spend too long under those lights, it can really make you feel like foggy and strange, and it makes your nervous system very uncomfortable. If you're in an environment, in your office specifically, where your nervous system's being triggered in this way, it's really bad. You want to try and get incandescent light bulbs or LEDs, of which you can adjust the color, so you can have a light, like a sort of warmer, like more reddish, sort of orangish sort of light. But if you've got like overhead LEDs or like an LED like lamp on your desk and it's like shining, like it will just make you feel jittery and weird. Like I'm recording this video right now, ironically, with one of those big like dome lights, which is why the lighting on this camera is really good. And it is really bright and it's LED and it's horrible, but I only have to record for like 30 minutes, and so that's fine, you turn it on and off. But if that's your constant state, then whew, God help you. Next thing is get natural light and nature in your office. So again, this is like what you're realizing. What I need you to realize is that productivity optimization is more about environment optimization than anything else. It's not about what you do when you're working. It's about the space you're in when you're working, and how comfortable you feel, how calm you feel, and how often you want to be there is determined by these things. So what you want to do is you want to get natural light where you can. So have a window, at least a window, and get some plants in there. So I haven't got any plants in my office, to be fair, because it's not very conducive to having plant life in here. But just generally speaking, wherever you can, try and introduce some nature, plants, etc. They just make you feel better. They're going to make your nervous system, again, just feel a bit calmer. You're going to make it more zen. You want your office to be like this zen place that makes you feel comfortable and happy. Not like this like tin box that's, like horrifically... those like old school like 60s office spaces where it's just like, well, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. Now, this is a little bit of a controversial one. The next point is that the Pomodoro Technique is fucking bullshit. That trend that happened a while ago, that productivity trend where people would be like, the best way to be productive is to work for 25 minutes, set a timer, and then take a 5-minute break, and then work for 25 minutes and set a timer. Rubbish. You show me the people in the world who are the best at what they do. You show me the best movie directors. You show me the best athletes. You show me the best musicians, the best artists. They are not taking breaks every 25 minutes. You think that you think Tom, let's say that, let's take Quentin Tarantino, right, director. You think he's there directing a movie and he's on set. Do you think he's got a timer on his phone for every 25 minutes? Say, I need to go and take my quick 5-minute break now before I get tired and burn out. No. Do you think that, like Mike Tyson, when he was boxing, when he was training, was there like every 25 minutes during his training, I need to go and take my quick break now? Yeah, obviously you need to integrate rest. You need to integrate breaks and stuff, and it's not healthy to be locked in. But there are times where, my most productive days have been days where I sit down, I get in the zone, and then it's almost like 6 hours has gone by without me even noticing. I'm not trying to you can't get in the zone. You can't enter a state of flow if you're breaking your focus every 25 minutes. You just can't. Every 20 minutes, this whole idea of needing this little break is ridiculous. You imagine this, right? The way we work is the way we hunt. And what that means is human beings are very, very engineered biologically, neurochemically. There we go. We are engineered to hunt, which means that we like to track things down and just try and get things, right? You think when we were hunting on the African plains that every 25 minutes we'd need a break? No. We'd be chasing after things for hours and hours on end, deeply focused on this one thing. And we have the ability to do that, and that's where focus comes from. It's a bit the ability to. It's like just doing this one thing, and the one thing that we were engineered to do is hunt, right? Specifically as men, and women as well. And so if you're tracking a deer, or if you're tracking like a buffalo or a bison or whatever the hell, which is where the idea of hunting comes from, this productivity thing, you're locked in, and you're not going to be there. you go back to your caveman cave and say, oh, I just need to lay down for 5 minutes because I'm going to get burned out. No. You're locked in, right? And so this idea that you need to take a break is rubbish. Next thing, 30 minutes of sleep will make you more productive than 30 minutes of work. So what I like to do, and I can tell you a big secret to my productivity, for the last 5 years, I haven't had an alarm. I've never woken up to an alarm unless I've got a flight or a meeting or something to attend to in the morning. I never wake up to an alarm. And what I do every night is I let my body sleep for as long as it wants to sleep. And so sometimes I'll sleep for 6 hours. Sometimes I'll sleep for 10 hours. Sometimes I'll sleep for 8. Most of the time I'll sleep for 8. Sometimes I'll sleep for 9, 7, 7.5, 9.5. I let my body recover. And when it's fully recovered, I wake up. And this is how we, used to do it when we were evolving. Alarms aren't particularly normal, right? And what I'm trying to say here is if you need the sleep, so let's say that you've got 10 hours of work in the day. You might then say, oh, but I could do 11 hours of work and be 10% more productive because of that extra hour. But if instead you slept for an extra hour, the 10 hours of work you do might all become 20% more efficient. And so your net efficiency on the time you work is so much more dependent on how well you've slept and how energized you are during those hours than doing the extra hour, if that makes sense. And so what I like to do is I like to see sleep as productivity, and I like to see rest as productivity. And the only reason that I rest and the only reason I sleep and the only reason I take care of myself is so that I can be more productive, if that makes sense. And so the things that you do when you're not doing things are things that you do so that you can do more things when you come to do them. Does that make sense? That's kind of how it works. That's how I see it. And it's a really effective way to get more done. The next thing is that noise cancelling headphones are a must. I've actually got these ones here. These are the Sony X. I don't know how to actually, the product name is weird. It's like XWHMX1000 or something. These ones are great. The Bose ultra quiet sound ones are also great. The other overhead, I've tried like 10 pairs of overhead headphones. These are the best ones. They're lightweight. The noise cancelling feature is amazing. You want to get noise cancelling headphones because, when you're in the zone, the only thing that can pull you out of the zone is an external stimulus, right? Or maybe a thought, but usually it's an external stimulus, like someone knocking on the door, a parcel delivery, someone trying to call your name, like your phone going off, etc. Noise cancelling headphones, they remove the ability for any noise stimulus to get into your brain. And so it keeps you productive and in the zone for longer, and it keeps you focused for longer. You basically, when you put those on, you eliminate an entire category of stimulus, which is pretty cool, and it keeps you more in the zone. Next thing, log out of all social media if not using it. Better still, delete it. So fun fact about me, I haven't used or had social media personally, except from a business perspective, but I haven't got any social media on my phone. The only social app that I have on my phone is WhatsApp. So the only way that another human can connect with me on my mobile device, I can show you this here. That's my phone. Don't know if you can. It's going to be flipped, so you won't be able to see it, but you can't. It's not really focused. But you can see, like, I've got WhatsApp, I've got my LED lighting for my house, I've got Google Chrome, and I've got my calendar. I don't have anything else on my phone. I have no other social apps or anything, which I find to be pretty good. I'm just putting this list back up. And no Facebook, no X, no Snapchat, no Instagram, no TikTok, no Reddit. I don't know what other apps people have these days. There's probably a few, right? But none of that. If you're working, turn your phone off. Take the notifications off your phone. Okay, so this is kind of like the thing to do. First of all, just delete them. But a lot of you are weak and are not going to want to do that because for some reason you're not willing to make sacrifices for your success. I don't know, whatever. Delete all the apps. Delete all the social media apps. Just delete them. But if you can't be bothered to do that because you're weak, whatever, because you're addicted to these little weird icons and these little notifications, just turn all your notifications off. And then that way, like, your phone's not going to be buzzing at you. And then the next thing you need to do is turn your phone off when you're working. If your phone is on, and I know this is ironic because I'm sat here with my phone on, but the thing is there's nothing on my phone that can distract me. I have WhatsApp on my phone, but there's no notifications on WhatsApp, and I have no apps on it. So I can work with my phone on my desk and not get distracted, right? Anyway, that's the phone thing. The next thing is lock your phone in your car or out of your house. So one thing that I used to do when I was struggling with removing my social media addictions and my notification addictions is in the morning, what I would do is I would take my phone and I would go and take it downstairs. This was at my old apartment, and I would lock it in my car. So the only way that I could access my phone during the day if I wanted to was walk downstairs, unlock my car, open it. And having to do like a 2-minute walk usually removed the impulse of me needing to check it. And so that's how I kind of engineered my way out of it. Just a fun fact. The next thing is work first thing before you do anything else. So, you know, you need to learn to wake up and get straight to your office, straight to your desk. Don't do anything before you work. Don't exercise, don't meditate, don't journal, don't read, don't do any habits before you work, because the freshest, cleanest, most energetic part of the day is the morning before you've done anything. Pretty important. The next thing is add trivial tasks to a list to complete at the end of the week. So one thing that I've done every single week for a long time is I basically, anytime a little task comes up, you know, you get those little tasks, those things that take no more than 5 minutes, like changing your phone number verification on your bank, or paying an invoice, or these little things that just you don't want to do right now. They just piss you off. Little things. They don't require much energy or time, but they're like little bee stings. Not even that, like little mosquito bites. Just they annoy you, and they're just there, and you just kind of scratch them away, and they're gone. Make a list throughout the week of things, the little things, and just do them on Saturday or do them on Sunday. Let the list stack up, and then just do these little things, or get an assistant. That's what I'm in the process of doing now. Avoid meetings at all costs. Ask for looms or recordings. So basically, if someone tries to schedule a meeting with me, I'll say, can you send me an email? If they say no, I'll say, can you send me a loom? If they say no, I'll say, can you have the meeting with somebody else on my team and then send me the recording? I hate meetings. They're so unproductive. They're so inefficient. Avoid them. The next thing is get Motion. So Motion is an app that you can get on Google Chrome that basically makes you way more productive. You can check it out. I won't explain it too much here. The next thing is don't eat carbs until the evening. So we're entering the dietary thing here where people can get quite confused and upset about this. Like, just avoid eating carbohydrates until the evening. The reason you have shitty afternoons, the reason you have energy slumps, the reason you have anxiety spikes is because your blood sugar is just like pinging all over the place. Trust me, just eat carbs in the evening when you finish work. Carb load then, and then that way you're not going to bring all your energy crashes or emotional bullshit from eating sugar into your day. Batch emails and messages. So don't check your emails throughout the day. Don't check your messages out throughout the day. Check them once or twice a day and batch them and have a routine time where you check them instead of just aimlessly coming in and just trying to do them whenever you can. And then the last thing, and this is really important, is you cannot outproduce a bad diet, a heavy diet, or a bad sleep. So what I mean by that is no matter how many hacks I have or how many little tidbits I try to put into place, if I've eaten like shit and slept like shit, productivity is almost impossible. Everyone talks about all these little hacks and strategies when really just sleep for 8 to 9 hours cleanly, properly, and eat really fucking clean. If you do those two things, you're going to have a heinous amount of energy to exert into your work, and you'll become way more productive. And that's literally how I did it. And, you know, I do these things every day. I swear by them. They've made me a lot of money, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make me hundreds of millions. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.